Bizzibox's expert information on entering a marathon. Why should I run a marathon?
You should run a marathon because it is the ultimate challenge, really. The marathon is a great event. You should be aiming to raise money for charity, and millions and millions of pounds are raised for charity each year. And the marathon is the one charitable event which has a great sense of occasion. It's a carnival atmosphere, the race itself. And ultimately it's a challenge to yourself. If you can run a marathon, one thing you'll never do is regret the experience. You may say you never want to do it again, but you'll never ever regret it. So it's a personal challenge as well as a great opportunity to raise valuable funds for money, and actually it's a memory you'll have for the rest of your life.
How long is a marathon?
A marathon is 26.2 miles, or 42 kilometres, or put it another way, a damn long way. A marathon is a long, long way.
What are the origins of the marathon?
The marathon came about from years ago, back in Greek times, where a message had to be sent, and some Greek dude basically ran the distance, and they measured it to be 26.2 miles. But interestingly, that distance has actually increased over a few years. There's 1914 London Olympics, I believe. Just so the marathon finished in front of the Queen's box, the length of the marathon was extended by about 350 yards, I think. So the marathon distance has changed slightly over the years, but that's generally the origins of the marathon.
How do I choose my first marathon?
Really, you've got to choose a marathon which is convenient to you and a marathon that you want to do. The main marathons, the most popular marathons in the world, are probably London Marathon and the New York Marathon. Both are fantastic marathons, lots of people apply, but of course it's very difficult to get places often. But really, just choose a marathon that you feel you'd like to do, and ultimately you have to consider the weather, when a lot of the training is going to have to be done. It can often be quite difficult to train through the dark winter months to train for London, but sit down and have a think and really ultimately choose a marathon that you feel comfortable running.
How do I apply for a marathon?
There are a number of different ways to apply to the marathon. If you take the London Marathon, for example, you have essentially two options. You can either approach a charitable organisation where you can apply who gets sold places for the marathon, and they will give you a place in return for you raising a minimum amount of money, which is generally £1,500 to £2,000. Alternatively, for the London Marathon, you can apply for a ballot place. These are generally more of a lottery, and it's up to sheer luck whether you get a place or not. Most people decide, however, to run for charities. It's a great opportunity to raise valuable funds for a charity.
Do I need to see my GP before entering a marathon?
It's often a good idea to get a quick checkup to test your blood pressure and general state of health before you start training for the marathon. As you'd imagine, running 26.2 miles is quite a chore and quite taxing for the body. So it's a good idea to make sure you haven't got any underlying health problems which you don't know exist. And once you get the all clear, there's no reason why you can't carry on training.
What should I be aware of before entering a marathon?
Things you've got to be aware of really is actually accept that the marathon is a very long way and the training is long and hard. It's often quite upsetting when people undertake a marathon which is a huge challenge and walk the distance. The marathon is ultimately a running event, and when you undertake and you commit yourself to running a marathon, really running the 26.2 miles is one thing. The 6 months at least of training you put into it is ultimately the hard part. So you have to make sure you can set aside time at least 3 times a week, sometimes 4 times a week, to train for a good 6 months to prepare your body to meet the demands of the marathon.
What is the best way to get sponsorship?
Sponsorship is often very difficult. Friends are a great way to get sponsorship. You can also get sponsorship from companies, or you can have sponsorship parties where you try and attract friends to come and do one or two things to help you raise the money for the charity. As I mentioned before, the £1,500 or £2,000 which you have to raise for charity, for a lot of people is a lot of money. So it is very difficult to raise the money, but this has to go as part of your plan, as well as your training, to find out how to raise those valuable funds.
How much will running a marathon cost me?
A marathon will cost you really what you want it to. You can either run with a bare minimum, so a good pair of running shoes and some basic clothing, or you could go to town, you could spend hundreds of pounds on GPS running systems, on inertial running pods to tell you how far you're running, how fast you're running, your average speed, your average heart rate, etc. And you can buy some very expensive running clothes. So ultimately it's up to you how much money you spend, but it's certainly not a cheap way to enter a challenge. A lot of the money you spend, however, should be well spent on a good pair of shoes and some good running clothes.
www.bizzibox.com